Welcome, everyone. Comment your idea for a story you want for the next video. Also, please like and subscribe for daily stories. Today we will listen to the story of a poor soul in a mining shaft. And now get comfortable and relax. The air down here tastes like rust and old stone. Every breath scrapes my throat raw, the damp mixing with dust until it feels like I'm swallowing sand. My boots crunch on loose gravel, but the sound doesn't cover the other noise. The steady, deliberate rhythm of footsteps behind me. I don't dare look back. The tunnel is narrow, the wooden supports groaning every time I brush past them, splinters snagging at my sleeves. The electric lantern I snatched from the equipment rack jerks wildly in my hand, its weak light barely reaching the rock ahead. It casts shadows that lurch and stretch across the walls, and every time one moves wrong, my stomach flips. The killer hasn't spoken since I first saw him. No taunting, no shouting, just that relentless pace, the sound of heavy boots grinding grit underfoot, getting closer every time I slow. I can still see the moment in my mind, when I turned and saw him framed in the faint glow from the shaft entrance. The mask, the glint of metal in his hand, and then the way he stepped forward like he had all the time in the world. I forced myself deeper into the mine, my light bouncing over rusted tracks embedded in the dirt. Water drips somewhere ahead, a slow, hollow plink that echoes too loud in the silence. The walls close in, the ceiling sagging low enough that I have to duck. My shoulder brushes rock, wet, cold, and my lantern flickers. I pass a side tunnel and hesitate for half a second. It's darker than the main shaft, the air colder, but maybe I could lose him in there. My chest is already burning from running, my calves nodding with every step. I glance back. He's closer now. Not running, never running, but his strides eat the ground between us like nothing. The knife in his hand catches the lantern light, flashing once before disappearing into shadow. I duck into the side tunnel without thinking. It's tighter here, the smell of damp earth almost suffocating. The ground slopes down sharply, my boots slipping on wet stone. The walls drip constantly, the sound making my pulse stutter. I can't hear his footsteps anymore, and for a moment I think maybe I've lost him. But then there's a scrape, a blade against rock, just once, followed by silence. The tunnel bends sharply, and my light falls on something that makes me stop cold. An old mining cart, half tipped on its side, its wheels rusted solid. There's something in it, a mound covered in rotting cloth. The smell hits a second later. I don't look closer. I just edge past, keeping my eyes forward. A shadow moves across the wall ahead of me. My grip tightens on the lantern handle until it creaks. He's in front of me now. My boots lock to the ground, my body refusing to take another step forward. The lantern light shakes, throwing the shadow into jerking pieces on the rock wall. But I can still see him, broad shoulders, head tilted slightly like he's studying me. The knife glints once, and then he takes a single step closer. The tunnel is too narrow to run past him, too steep behind me to make a clean retreat without slipping. My breath comes in shallow bursts, each one loud enough to give me away if he somehow can't already hear my heartbeat pounding against the walls. He doesn't rush. He moves forward with the same measured pace he's had since the start, the wet crunch of his boots on the tunnel floor slow, deliberate, the way you'd walk toward something you already own. I back up, my shoulders scraping the wall, my lantern swinging wildly and throwing light across the dripping stone. Behind me, far off, there's another sound, a low groan. Not human, not machine, but the kind the mine makes when it shifts, when the weight of the earth presses just a little harder on the timbers holding it up. It rattles in my ears, making the space feel even smaller. He keeps coming. I can see his mask now, old, dented, a smudge of something dark across the mouth. The knife is steady in his grip, catching the light with each swing of my lantern. My heel catches on a loose stone and I almost go down, but I catch myself against the wall, the cold wetness soaking my palm. He's close enough now that I can hear his breathing, slow and even, completely out of sync with my panicked gasps. I turn and run deeper into the shaft, the slope pulling me faster than I want to go. The lantern swings so hard I'm afraid it'll smash against the wall, but I don't slow. The air gets colder the farther I go, the smell of rust replaced by something sharper, metallic. The tunnel opens suddenly into a wider chamber, the ceiling lost in darkness. Old mining equipment lies scattered across the floor. Broken drills, rusted rails, the skeletal remains of support beams. Water pools in the center, black and still, reflecting my lantern like a single trembling eye. I hear his boots behind me again. The sound of his boots enters the chamber seconds after I do. Measured, unhurried, impossible to outrun. The walls here feel farther apart, but that doesn't make it safer. The openness is worse. I can't tell which direction he'll come from, can't hide behind the safety of narrow rock. My eyes dart for an exit. There's a tunnel on the far side, smaller than the one I came through, half collapsed with debris. If I can squeeze through, maybe he can't follow as fast. I cross the chamber fast, my boots splashing in the edge of the black pool, cold water soaking my socks instantly. The smell hits me, a mix of stagnant water and something fouler beneath it. I push on. A sharp clang echoes behind me. I whip around, the lantern jerking upward. He's there, just inside the chamber, the glow catching the wet edge of his knife. He doesn't speak, but the tilt of his head says enough. There's nowhere to go that he hasn't already decided to reach. I lunge toward the collapsed tunnel. My hands claw at the loose rock and splintered timber, tossing pieces aside in frantic bursts. The wood groans above me with each movement, raining down dust. I hear his boots start forward again. Still steady, still slow. The lantern's light catches on something buried in the rubble. A helmet, old and caved in at one side, the strap stiff with what might once have been blood. I shove it aside, my fingers numb from the cold stone. Then the noise changes. His steps stop. For a moment, I think he's just watching, letting me bury myself in a dead end. But then there's a thud, heavy, deliberate, and the sound of metal on stone. He's blocking the tunnel I came from. I freeze, the rock biting into my knees. I don't need to turn around to know he's closer. The air feels different, warmer in short bursts, like the heat of someone's breath cutting into the chill. The scrape of the knife against the wall starts up again, slow, dragging, leaving a sound that makes my teeth ache. I try to dig faster, my arms shaking, the timbers groaning louder, bits of dirt falling against my back. My lantern flickers once, then twice, shadows stuttering across the walls like they're moving on their own. The scrape stops. Something heavy drops to the floor behind me, the sound dull but close. I can almost feel it vibrate through the rock under my palms. The silence after the drop is worse than the scrape of the knife. My ears strain, every breath I take sounding too loud in the stillness. I don't turn around. Not yet. My fingers still prying at the loose stones, but they've gone slick from sweat and the grit grinds into my skin. Then I feel it. A rush of air, close to the back of my neck, warm and carrying the faint smell of oil and iron. He's right there. The lantern swings as I jerk to the side, and its glow catches just enough to show the blade hovering where my head was a second ago. It's not a wild swing. He's precise, controlled, almost patient. The knife retracts slightly, the tip dragging along the wall with that same sickening shriek of metal on stone, leaving a fresh white scar in the rock inches from my face. I scramble backward, my boots slipping in the loose dirt. The rubble digs into my palms as I push myself away, but it's useless. He follows at the same pace, forcing me to match him or be caught. Every step I take, he matches with one of his own, the distance between us shrinking. The timbers overhead groan again, louder this time, dust pouring down in thin streams. Somewhere far above, I hear the faint crack of shifting stone. The tunnel's unstable, and the way he glances up at the sound tells me he knows it too. Knows I'm running out of safe space. I grab the lantern and swing it toward him, not to hit, just to blind him for a second. The light flares against his mask, throwing back a warped reflection of my own terrified face. He doesn't flinch. He just tilts his head slightly, then lunges. The move is so sudden that the lantern slips from my hand, crashing to the ground. The flame snuffs instantly, plunging us into a black so complete it's like the air turns solid. And then the knife touches my chest. Not deep, not yet, but enough to let me know he's found exactly where I am. The cold bite of the steel makes my whole body lock. In the pitch dark, every sound is amplified. The drip of water somewhere in the chamber, the slow creak of the mine timbers, the steady rhythm of his breathing, calm and measured against my own ragged gasps. I grab for the blade on instinct, my hands closing around his wrist, but his grip is iron. The knife doesn't press deeper, yet it doesn't retreat. He's holding it there like a promise, waiting for something, waiting for me to make a mistake. I shove hard, trying to twist out from under him, but the ground beneath me is slick with mud and grit. My shoulder slams into the rubble pile, sending a cascade of loose stone tumbling over us. A chunk catches him in the side, and for the first time he stumbles. It's not much, half a step maybe, but it's enough. I roll sideways, my hands searching blindly across the ground. My fingers brush something solid, a length of rusted metal pipe, cold and rough. I grip it and swing in the direction of his breathing. The impact is jarring, the vibration rattling my teeth, followed by a grunt that's more irritation than pain. He moves fast, faster than I thought he could. His free hand catches my arm, twisting until my fingers spasm and the pipe clatters to the floor. The knife's edge grazes my side now, slicing cloth, drawing a thin line of heat that blooms into pain. Somewhere above us, there's a sharp crack. The mine shudders, dust exploding in the air so thick I choke on it. He hesitates just for a second, looking upward. I use it. My hands shove hard into his chest and I bolt for the far end of the chamber, boots splashing through the black pool, stumbling over scattered tools. Behind me, I hear him coming again. Boots hitting the ground faster now, the scrape of the knife against stone gone, replaced by the rush of air as he runs. And then the sound changes, not from him but from the mine itself. A deep groan turns into a roar as the ceiling starts to collapse. The roar swallows everything. My breath, his footsteps, even the pounding of my heart. The air fills with dust so thick it blinds me, choking my lungs and turning every breath into fire. Splinters of timber and shards of rock rain down, the crash of them echoing through the chamber like 1,000 hammers. I run without seeing, my hands outstretched, boots slipping in the mud, skidding over wet stone. Behind me, the sound of his chase is still there, but it's different now, less controlled, more urgent. The mine is coming down, and even he can't outrun it at that pace. A beam splinters above my head, and I duck just in time for it to slam into the ground where I'd been a second earlier. The tunnel ahead is barely visible through the haze, a faint suggestion of an opening where the dark isn't quite as heavy. I lunge for it, feeling the ground quake under each step. A sharp yank on my arm nearly tears me off my feet. He's there, his grip unshakable, pulling me backward even as rock crashes down around us. I twist, kick, slam my shoulder into his chest, anything to break free. For the first time, I hear him make a real sound, a deep guttural snarl. Another groan from above. A shadow drops over us. I dive forward instinctively, my arm tearing from his grip just as the ceiling gives way. The world disappears in a roar and a rush of cold air. The ground rises up to meet me, and everything goes black. When I open my eyes, it's quiet. Too quiet. The dust hangs in the air like fog, and I can barely see my own hands. The opening ahead is closer now, the faint glow of moonlight spilling in from somewhere far above. I stagger toward it, my ears ringing, every muscle screaming. I don't look back. I don't need to. The silence behind me tells me he's buried somewhere under tons of rock. But as I reach the shaft and drag myself into the open air, a sound cuts through the night. A slow, deliberate scrape of metal on stone. And I know he's not gone.